about sexuality, and tonight we're doing some cultural myth busting. So we're going to be talking about some social cultural myths around sexuality. And I think we have had maybe similar conversations before. As this show progresses, we talk about related topics, and a lot of them do come back to myths, to unlearning, to challenging some of our long held beliefs about sexuality and about people who have sex or don't have sex. So tonight I'm excited to get into tonight's discussion. But as usual, before we get deep into the topic, I like to give you all a break, especially since, well, not a break. I don't want to call it a warning. Give you all a heads up that Pleasure Pulse is live, especially since we started a few minutes late. So as usual, we'll take a short break here and come right back and get into tonight's discussion. So stay tuned.
Sidekicks and Divas. The stage is set, the lights are on, and the voices are ready. ZIZ Kid Superstar 2025 kicks off October 9th. Bigger, bolder, and more electrifying than ever. Meet your superstar hopefuls. Iquandra Bradley, Sheslin Ward, Vinette Richardson, Denicia Henry, Nikita Sage, Romesia Prentice, Ashari Rensford, Juanita Johnson, Melissa Bell, and Norris Henderson. 10 contestants, one stage, one dream. Catch it all October 9th, live on ZIZ Radio, TV, and social media. Who will be the next ZIZ Kidtician Superstar?
Welcome back to Pleasure Pulse. I'm your host, Roma Richardson, and you're joining me on ZIZ Radio 96.1, ZIZ Online on YouTube and Facebook, I believe. Definitely on YouTube and definitely on radio. So excited to have you here for another Tuesday night discussion. Last week, my guest and we talked about young people and dating, and that was a kind of follow-up to the previous conversation with Lucine Pemberton Vaughan about young people and dating, but from more of the sexual health aspect of things. So I want to continue these kinds of cultural conversations or conversations around the culture of sexuality that exists in St. Kitts and Nevis. And my guest is on her way, I believe. So we will talk to each other until she comes. So a lot of what we know, what we know in quotation marks, what we believe about sex is things that we have learned. So it's not anything that you're born doing, or we're born practicing, or we're born believing. There are things that are taught to us. So same way that people talk about social scripts. So social scripts are those things that tell you how you should behave, how you should think in a particular social setting or society. We also have sexual scripts. So scripts that are specific to your gender identity, and your culture, your society that you live in, your communities even, that say what you should believe about sex, how you should have sex, what kind of sex you should have, whom you should have that sex with, how often, and all of those things. And they all connect to who you are and how you show up in the world, right? So a lot of times what it is that people make determinations about our sexuality based on what genitals we have. It's often related to that, or how we present in the spaces that we occupy. So these are, as I mentioned, things that are taught to us from small, not things that are innate or that we are born with. So they follow us through life, though, so we'll pick them up from our parents, from our guardians, from neighbors, from community members, from peers in school. We learn things in church. I mean, even last week, my guest was talking about giving an example of how impactful youth dating can be, and on the other side, how especially like having restrictions on the socializing that young people can or can't do, and in kind of instructing them to believe certain ideals and certain stereotypes can affect them later on in life. And the specific example that she was giving was how a young woman was essentially like warned off of sex so much, not given accurate and really honest sex education, really preached to about abstinence and so on, and how there was that expectation that during marriage or when she got married, on her wedding night and afterwards, that would just change, and how, the person was kind of unable to, the adjustment wasn't able to be made, right? So there are ways that the things that we are taught about sex follow us through life, and that the things that we learn can't just be unlearned or changed in an instant, and they do affect how we show up in our relationships with other people. So that kind of is the impetus for tonight's discussion about the cultural myths around sexuality and addressing sex and sexuality and addressing some of them. And before I get into all of the myths, because I have a lot here, let's do also again another short break, and we'll come right back and get into tonight's discussion. But while we're on the break, I hope that you are thinking yourself about some of the myths, some of the things that you have heard, whether it is a lot or less so from people around you, from media and so on, about how sexuality should happen. So we'll take a short break and come right back and get into tonight's myths.
The stage is set, the lights are on, and the voices are ready. ZIZ Kid Superstar 2025 kicks off October 9th. Bigger, bolder, and more electrifying than ever. Meet your superstar hopefuls. Iquantra Bradley, Sheslin Ward, Vinette Richardson, Denicia Henry, Nikita Sage, Romesia Prentice, Ashari Rensford, Juanita Johnson, Melissa Bell, and Norris Henderson. 10 contestants, one stage, one dream. Catch it all October 9th, live on ZIZ Radio, TV, and social media. Who will be the next ZIZ Kidtician Superstar?
Get ready to ignite your Tuesday nights with a show that's as educational as it is entertaining. Welcome to Pleasure Pulse, your weekly guide to the world of sex education. Join Roma every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. exclusively on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It's the perfect way to spice up your midweek routine and get answers to all your burning questions. Whether you're looking for relationship advice or curious about the art of intimacy, Roma's got you covered. Pleasure Pulse, every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Only on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Don't miss out. Your sex education journey starts this Tuesday with Roma as your guide.
Welcome back to Pleasure Pulse. You're tuned into ZIZ online on radio 96.1 and on YouTube. And I'm your host, Roma Richardson. I've said that a few times tonight. By this point, you know that I'm your host. And I am now joined by my guest, my honorary. Yeah. I know what to say. However you want to describe yourself.
Well, I'm a returning guest.
Yes. Like a returning national, but
I guess kind of.
Yeah, my returning guest, Diloma.
Hi to all the people out there who's listening to Pleasure Pulse.
Thank you for joining me again to have another girl talk session.
Girl talk.
So it ain't really girl talk. We don't just sex talk. All of those things. So tonight, as I mentioned, we're talking about cultural myths around sexuality, and I have kind of attempted to set the stage in terms of what is kind of like what kind of obtains when it comes to the kinds of sex that we have, how social and sexual scripts determine what kind of sex we have, how often we have it, who we have it with, and what it should mean to us, what it would look like, and all of that. And so I think we can get into some of those myths, and I'm calling them myths and facts in quotation marks because all of these are social and cultural things, as in they are socially created, right? So I shared that none of this is innate. They're not things that we are born with. They're things that we are taught and things that we learn as we grow older. It's sociology, and
yes,
yeah. So you'll know a lot about like social scripts and all of those things, and they apply to sexuality as well. So the first myth, and I kind of just did my own research to find out what some of the popular myths are around here, and just floating in the ether. And the first one: sex must happen with other people, not just by yourself.
Explain.
But
isn't the act of sex like considered doing it with somebody else? If you're doing it solo, then
it's like masturbation.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think it goes into how we define sex. Because for some people, sex means penetration only, but sex can be a lot of things to a lot of different people. And it can have a lot of meanings. It can be very subjective and it can be very personal. So I think, if we deprioritize the emphasis on penetration, then we can begin to think of sex as lots of other things potentially.
Well, something that came to my mind is the idea of virtual sex. I think Doja Cat has like a song, something.
I don't know.
But think about it, like, okay, for people who do like sex work online and like,
Yeah, exactly.
So
who don't even have physical contact with somebody else, but it's still considered sex.
So that I could see where people would say, okay, so sex doesn't have to be penetration.
Yeah, or it doesn't even have to be contact. It doesn't even have to be in person. So sex is something that is very much like individually defined, but also if you're doing it with somebody, then it's absolutely necessary for both of you to be clear on what those interpretations and meanings of sex are, because then you get into the issue of consent and all of those things, and people have to be consenting to the same thing, right? So sex doesn't have to happen with other people. It can be by yourself. Myth number 2: sex has to occur with people of the opposite gender and biological. Roll in your eyes.
No, because
you think we passed that point?
Very much so. So like it like I'm trying to think, like, what if I was in a situation where I had a boyfriend and let's say he has sex with a guy, and then he's like, no, we didn't have sex. You can only have sex with me. So, what we say that he hasn't.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Very valuable. I think one thing is, there's so much emphasis and so much pressure for everybody to be heterosexual. Like, I think we can acknowledge that heterosexuality is seen as like the norm, the standard, the way that everybody is or should be. That's not true, and that has never been true of the human experience or other experiences, even if that's what we want to be true, right? So there are many genders, and as we talk about these being cultural and social scripts and so on, there are places in the world that do recognize more than two genders, that have more than two genders. This is just the reality for St. Kitts and Nevis, right? I think same thing with biological sex. Like, biological sex is so... Sorry, I'm also in the process of doing, more sex. I was gonna say sex work, but not work in the work as in like education in the area of sex, right? And even biological sex is something that ain't
so
static.
What is biological sex? Like
Versus,
sex between a male and female?
So people like to reduce people to just like their genitals. So your biological sex would be like, your genitals, it would be like your hormones, it would be what reproductive organs you have and things like that. So, people see it as usually like penises inside of vaginas, but there's lots of sex that occurs like outside of that, and it is, that is what is like normal. Okay, I have some other folks in the it was just giving you an opportunity to jump in if you wanted. Okay, a follow-up myth on that is, you watch Insecure?
No.
Okay. I always reference Insecure. One day you'll watch it.
I guess because I was a fan of Awkward Black Girl on YouTube.
Yeah, so like the natural evolution was Insecure. Okay. Okay, let's skip it. But it's a related thing because there was a scene in it where one of the main stars was dating this guy who had a same gender experience, and she was kind of very like, I don't know how I feel about that, and she was saying, well, if you did that, then it means that you're gay. And her friends were like, no, it just means that he had like one experience. If he doesn't identify as gay. Okay, let's go into like pornography. There are lots of people in porn who perform same gender acts but don't identify as that sexual orientation because that's just not who they are. They call it like gay for pay, or other things. People might perform heterosexuality for pay as well. So that's another myth. And there's the myth that like if you like certain things, it means that you ain't what you say you are. For example, heterosexual men who might like anal play. They might,
by a female.
Yeah,
so
right.
pegging. Yes,
yeah. So people might be like, well, if you like people to touch your booty hole, sorry, your anus.
Right.
Let me use the official terms on the national broadcasting station. if you like anal play, even if it's with somebody of a different gender to yours, then it means that you're not heterosexual, or it means that you are gay, or whatever it is. What do you think about that?
What's coming to mind is like, for females, why is it that females are allowed to
explore,
but then for a guy, we kind of like look at him sideways, like, if he goes out and explores his sexuality?
It's an interesting conversation, and if you allow me, I would go on a whole tangent about the male gaze and all of those things, because I think like women, people with vaginas are allowed to explore because men enjoy it, especially. It's like you explore because I like to see you explore. Like people are sexually attracted to the idea of women being together and having sex, but not the same for men. And then it also goes into, ideas about femininity, masculinity, and all of them kind of things. But we ain't gonna go there.
Right.
I think we can say that, especially like when we watch younger generations who are living in their truths, like more than previous generations were, like we could see that sexuality is a lot more fluid, and sexual orientation and so on, they're a lot more fluid than, we originally thought.
I'm trying to remember what was the myth again. Sorry.
Wait, what?
I was trying to remember what was the myth again.
Oh, the myth was that sex must occur with people of the opposite gender, in quotation marks.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm past that.
Yeah. What would you say to people who say that there's a normal way to have sex?
Oh, what is normal?
Oh, that's what you would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what is normal?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm asking. What is
Did the
normal?
people say so?
Okay.
If they say so.
I could tell you about an experience I had.
Sure.
A couple nights ago.
Always want to know about.
So I recently started to explore Twitter porn, right?
Okay.
And I saw, I guess, I don't know the term, so I'm going to say you're going to have to coach me here. So they had a female who transitioned to be a guy, but they still have their female genitalia.
Okay.
And then they had a man who transitioned to be a female, but she still had the male genitalia. So they were both having sex. And I was like,
this is exciting.
okay.
Awesome.
But it was just interesting, how, like, I wouldn't think that way. So, like, I thought that if you transition, maybe you would want the person to have... So, like, okay, let me explain. So, for a male who transitions to be a woman, I thought that, okay, that person identifies as a woman, so they want a guy who also is biologically a male, and like, vice versa. So for me, it was just like, wow, like, there are people finding love in all kind of different forms, but that's not my kind of part.
Well, I think one is, and sorry, this conversation is in my head like a lot more academic than maybe I intended it to be, so I'm gonna try not to go there. But like what I'm thinking of is like the difference between gender and everything else, because body parts are one thing, right? But do you necessarily, like, is your sense of being a woman tied to the genitals that you have, or is it tied to other things? So, as we talk about the social scripts, and so like how you behave, how you are expected to carry yourself, those things are based on like if people look at you and can see like larger breasts, assume that you have, a vulva, vagina, and all of those things. But in like, I'm like, ooh, this thing makes me feel like necessarily, right? Like that ain't necessarily everybody's experience. And I have seen a couple like trans women, so that is, people who were assigned male at birth, and then people who are assigned male at birth, they keep their penises kind of like, I love, having, but everybody's different. Some people like can't wait to, yeah. So everybody is different, and I think, even getting into the whole conversation of porn is something else, because I think it can sometimes be so exploitative. that sometimes oftentimes you're watching experiences and you're not sure like the degree to which people really are choosing to be in certain positions. Not necessarily in this case, but yeah. So
And I don't want to, derail the conversation
Yeah.
down porn, but I find like.
but I do have a myth there about porn. So
But
if you
Twitter
want, we could go
porn
there.
was fascinating to me. It's not, heavy production.
Yeah.
It's like,
Amateur.
but are they
Sometimes.
amateur? To me, it's more people who, I guess, are involved in sex
Yeah.
work, but they don't have a big management or company behind them, so they set up a meetup with
You want being ashamed.
You know? actors and
Yeah.
get involved.
Yeah.
Like they announce collabs and
Yeah.
all these things. So it's really like a growing industry, I guess. Like
Yeah.
the OnlyFans. And
Yeah, I was
all
gonna
that.
say same with like the OnlyFans
Right.
industry.
Well, I think what happens is they're OnlyFans, but like they market a lot of their stuff
On
through
Twitter. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you get the free content.
Yeah, and when I said amateur, I didn't mean amateur like they're new to it or like they're not actors.
Right.
I mean amateur as in, without the full production company. Like things are made to look like amateur porn, but sometimes they got a big production company behind them and so anyways, yeah. Well, since we on that topic about pornography, another myth is that real life sex is like pornography.
It depends on what kind you're watching. So I have to say, I'm not like a big marketer for Twitter porn, but no, I feel like you get a more realistic vibe from this kind of growing OnlyFans content. So you're seeing women with hair, it's more raw, it's more romantic even, like, porn, like on
Yeah.
the old porn hubs and red tubes. Twitter porn is where it's at.
Okay, so things are like evolving, and you would say in a kind of a positive directions in like a lot of because some of the things that we see in porn, let's say mainstream porn, is fake, right? So
I would say maybe the actors have what they say more autonomy over what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely see that, and they have more freedom to say, okay, what is it they want to do. So maybe that, but there's still that element where I guess exploitation and all of
Yeah.
that can happen. I mean, you're dealing with sex work, but I guess they have just a bit more
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, and a bit more agency, because
Right.
what we really do see is people who to be like, I want to do a collaboration with this person, and you don't really see that in porn. It's kind of like you're hired for a job, and this is the person who is doing the job with you. So I suppose like I hear you. What would you say about the idea that like for example, some of the positions that you might see in pornography, the fact that some porn videos are an hour long, sometimes people are having like 6 rounds and self ejaculation, like all of these things are going multiple rounds with multiple people.
I
and
think
so.
I don't know how much aware the general public is, but porn is like a production. It's like a movie, so it's like maybe you're seeing an hour, but that could actually be 2 days of filming that they cut, in between, and these are trained
actors. That's what. That's what underline
Right.
underline actors. Yeah.
So I mean, you might see them do all these crazy positions, but they train for that.
Yeah. And I mean,
Even like certain sizes of objects
Right.
and all these things,
Yeah.
they're trained to do
Yeah.
that, but that's not the reality. I mean, some people dibble and dabble, but
yeah. I think it's like, because I have had conversations with guests on Pleasure Pulse where we talk about like the purpose of porn, and some people see it as being at times very educational and being a source that they can go to for whether it's inspiration or you see something you like and you decide to show it to your partner to gauge their interest in it and so on. So I think, for different people, it has different purposes and it lands differently, but I think it's just important for us to remember that they are actors. So if we see something on porn that we are unable to replicate, ain't because something wrong with us,
Right.
like even when we see,
So can we say it?
say what?
Like squirting?
I was going to say, even when you see people squirting and you see like 5 gallons come out,
But
it's 5 gallons of water.
you mean pee?
I don't think they're collective. So, and squirt is not pee. It has
It's
components of it, urea, but it's
I mean,
not pee.
literally, like in some of the porn, you could see it's not even coming out of that.
Well,
hole.
some of it could be pee. Some of it, probably.
But
Yeah.
majority of them fake it, and they say
Yeah.
that too. So like they drink a lot of water.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it would
to
come
pee.
out clear.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna dispute why you say I can just address the squirting is pee
Yeah,
part.
of
Okay,
course,
but
from an
yes,
academic
yes, yes. What you say is yes, they're peeing, but if it happens in real life, it's not that. It's pee. Although if it is, so what?
And even if girls squirt, it's not like a water fountain coming out.
Not usually. It's like pressure with something, and like like I said, it has some of the same components, but it's not straight up urine, which is also where it has a much milder smell. Okay, let's not get into
Right.
let's not get into this. We'll get into it another time. Another time. So real life sex
Could.
sometimes be like porn, depending on the kind of porn that you watch, but porn should not be the standard for what your real life sex looks like. That can only be determined by you and the other people that you are having sex with. Okay, let's put a pin right here, take a short break, and come back and continue tonight's discussion. Stay tuned.
Sidekicks and Nevis. The stage is set, the lights are on, and the voices are ready. ZIZ Kiddition Superstar 2025 kicks off October 9th. Bigger, bolder, and more electrifying than ever. Meet your superstar hopefuls. Iquandra Bradley, Sheslin Ward, Vinette Richardson, Denicia Henry, Nikita Sage, Romesia Prentice, Ashari Rensford, Juanita Johnson, Melissa Bell, and Norris Henderson. 10 contestants, one stage, one dream. Catch it all October 9th, live on ZIZ Radio, TV, and social media. Who will be the next ZIZ Kiddition Superstar?
Tune in for Policing with You, a half-hour radio program every Thursday morning at 9:15 on ZIZ Radio. Join host as he focuses on crime, factors contributing to criminal activity, crime prevention, and how the community can assist the police in reducing crime. It's Policing with You every Thursday morning at 9:15 on ZIZ Radio. Join us.
Sidekicks and Nevis. The stage is set, the lights are on, and the voices are ready. ZIZ Kid Superstar 2025 kicks off October 9th. Bigger, bolder, and more electrifying than ever. Meet your superstar hopefuls. Iquandra Bradley, Sheslin Ward, Vinette Richardson, Denicia Henry, Nikita Sage, Romesia Prentice, Ashari Rensford, Juanita Johnson, Melissa Bell, and Norris Henderson. 10 contestants, one stage, one dream. Catch it all October 9th, live on ZIZ Radio, TV, and social media. Who will be the next ZIZ Kidtician Superstar?
Welcome back to Pleasure Pulse. We're in our conversation about cultural myths around sexuality, and we have covered a few so far, and I got a lot, but we're not gonna get to all of them. Which is okay. What about the myth that sex has to end in orgasm, or else it's a failure? It didn't happen. You remember Meg Thee Stallion?
If you don't
have an orgasm, then sex wasn't successful.
It doesn't count.
So you don't think that's a myth? I was going to say, remember Meg Thee Stallion got a song, Learning song, where she was like, it didn't happen.
I'm just being me. Yeah. Why would you count something? If both are you, and nobody.
It depends.
It don't count. Make it worse if you ain't even go back a second time. It doesn't count, Roma. In my books, this is my opinion. I'm not a professional. I'm just saying, in my
You're
books,
just a person.
It doesn't count.
Well, it is a myth.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
If the police come and say, did he? Actually, did he penetrate? Yeah, but I mean, come on.
Okay, so back to the reason that people have sex, right? And like where you're having it in the moment, cause like where you have sex tonight ain't necessarily the reason that you have sex every night. Sometimes you want the feelings and stuff, but you don't need to stay for the conclusion. Like the curtain don't need to come down.
But okay, for me, why I think
I'm getting a lot of opposition in here.
Why I think we need to push this mindset is because oftentimes girls.
I thought that you were going to go there.
You kind of have to push that. Hey, you need to get yours too.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, it don't count.
I definitely.
You're saying you must make him feel bad, like he didn't do a good job, but
I definitely.
He needs to know.
He needs to know. Okay.
It's the goal.
Okay, I definitely, appreciate what you're saying about what very often happens for women, which is that, especially in heterosexual relationships, because the gap is really only there, in same gender sexual experiences, women, people with vaginas and so experience more orgasms. So it really mostly is with men. So I agree with especially if that is, something that the person really places a lot of value on, I definitely support, doing what will help you get there, which sometimes means, self-pleasure. So all women don't orgasm from penetration alone, some can. Some need clitoral stimulation and so on. So, between your partner or partners, that could happen to make that take place. But this is like another of those like very individual things, which is also why this affects, because it's we're talking about social and cultural things. So are there really facts about them? Like we could challenge, popular narratives,
Right.
but it ain't necessarily like you will find this in any kind of encyclopedia or anything like that. So it depends. Like I hear you. For me, sometimes it's like going on too long and you're tired and you're like, let's just end it.
So you don't come.
You're like, no, it did. Like you got the enjoyment that you wanted to get from it. For some people, like that is like what brings the release that you're looking for. So you can either go again, whatever it is. I hear you. But everybody is different, right? We could say that. So if for you it's like you don't need an orgasm to feel like, the sex was good, then that's absolutely
So what
okay.
we say, is it a fact?
It's a myth. It's a myth. Like it does not have to end.
Okay.
So like, cause remember the orgasm is like this is maybe how long the sex lasts, and then
What we doing, measurements?
No, yeah, not penises, just the amount of time. We're measuring the amount.
How much is this time?
This time, let's say 20 minutes,
Okay.
15 minutes, and then 2 minutes is the orgasm, maybe if that long. So the rest of it. This was like okay, the entire, including
right.
that, yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
you ain't get your rocks off. Something. I don't know.
Okay, well,
Next
I
one.
have the
Next
term. Okay, sex must be spontaneous.
How coming up with these?
The internet.
I mean, okay.
Why you ever tell me I'm curious about any myths you've heard after we answer this question.
It's mainly with body parts. So, like, if he foot small,
He hands small, then his
right,
penis
or
gonna
if
be
they
small.
say, I hope I'm calling it right, the labia, if it's big, that mean her tightness.
You mean the lips?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they would say like that, but those are kind of myths. Yeah.
Okay. Let's
But yeah,
circle back.
sex being spontaneous. So if let's say, if I was the type of girl to go and pay for a date, and I think you was on a date, we heading back to my place. I'm just saying, like, no. Roma, it's different if you're a female. This is just my opinion. Problematic. But I'm just saying, the girl shouldn't even be paying for the date. But
Okay.
if she's paying for the date, you better get back there. I'm just saying, spontaneous. You shouldn't offer it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what you're thinking
Yeah.
about with like spontaneity.
I'm just, trying to show those problematic scenarios.
Because some
But I
folks
mean, if you
believe-
go for a date with somebody who you dating, I mean, why would you not want to end the evening on a nice
inside
note?
each, you're having sex.
But I'm not just saying, not for the first date. Don't be.
Because what would you say about like men in particular who like, well, I bought her a hot dog at the movies.
I said not for women. It's different. we support double standards in certain situations. Yeah. I'm just saying, me, if I'm a female.
That's for you and your house.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, if a guy takes me out,
Don't expect it.
Yes.
But I don't support it. I think, all of these are conversations, right? Like being on the same page about what it is you're looking for, what it is you are interested in. Not to be like hot dog means sausage for sausage.
for a hot dog, we did it for a hot dog.
Yeah, but there's no, is there a thing that you can do it for? Like there's no.
Maybe like a hotel stay, getting
No, there's no way to quantify.
Let's talk about it because it does come up a lot. Like girls just get flied out. Flew out,
yeah.
And then they don't want to give it up to the guy who fly them out. How you feel about that situation? And most times, they talking to them in a very, sexual way. So I guess the guy is anticipating sex. And then when she comes, she's like, eek. So,
well,
how would you, look at a situation like that?
I think, as I was saying earlier, that it's important for people to be honest about what it is they want, what it is they desire in a situation, and whether or not they're really interested in the person, because sometimes like they know from the start, I'm not interested in you like that, and it will never be that. So it's important to communicate that, even if it means you ain't gonna get the trip to Miami, because no one has a right, whether they spend $100, $10, $100,000 on you to violate you, to demand certain things of you. At the same time, we should be honest with each other. So if you're not even interested in the person, don't take the person things, because the person is giving you things as an expression of their interest in you.
Someone need to be finished. But
no, I mean, as a form of reparations.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you have to, but
if it happens, you can. You understand? No, I disagree strongly. We have to be more honest with each other.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay. So when I ask, about spontaneity, like in the movies, where...
So wait, the myth was, if it's not spontaneous, it's not sex?
It should be spontaneous.
To be considered as sex?
Well, not necessarily to be considered as sex, but like good sex is spontaneous.
Oh.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah, so like in the movies, where like that'll be like in the middle of war. And then they see each other and they're like, oh, and then they take a break from fighting to have sex. Like that. I mean, that don't even matter to them.
I don't know. I enjoy, like, the preparation. Like, you put on the nice underwear.
Oh.
Why you make that face?
I'm like, there's a lot of prep.
No, but maybe you might.
People do that. That's for some people.
Yeah.
For some people, there's one where I go.
You won't put on the holy ones, like the ones you would wear to gym or everything.
No judgment.
Well, I mean, if that's
yeah. What if that's part of the experience?
Yeah. Could be.
People that buy underwear with holes in it. So what's wrong if your underwear has holes?
People, what? Who?
No, like the holes in the.
You mean crotchless?
Yeah,
but that's a hole. That's no.
But that's a hole.
That is laundry. That is different.
It's a hole.
No. If you see one, that's
hole is hole.
Okay, so if a guy comes by you with a hole in his box,
I wouldn't even be surprised at this point.
Really well. We have to do better in life.
No, we do. We have to do better. I don't think men get the same training that women get when it comes to like how we our adults they'll be like you can't leave in this because
but
please.
Recently I had a guy, he sent me a snap and he was wearing male lingerie and I didn't know how to feel about it. Okay. Well, I don't know if it would be considered as male lingerie, but to me it was like a mesh boxer. I was like, he's a freak.
Love that.
But it was I mean, guys know they,
Yeah.
they're getting very much in touch.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know how to feel about it. I didn't know if I liked it. I didn't know if I was, this was just new territory for me.
Yeah, I think it's good that like you acknowledge that, because sometimes I feel like a lot of the things that we are resistant to is just because they're new territory for us. Like, I never see something like this, I never hear about anything like this. May sure how I feel in the moment, but I could continue thinking about it, right? I feel
And
like that's
then
the best
I
you can
thought
do.
he sent it to me, but then I found out it was a streak. But that's a whole other conversation.
I don't even know what
So
that.
yeah, it's like we should maybe
Like,
talk about
wait.
Snapchat and like virtual.
Streaking, like when you go down the road in
No,
on the
so
road?
apparently a streak is like a broadcasted message that you would send on Snapchat. So he was just me sending these things
of you in like
Right.
lingerie and so on.
And you know what?
naked.
I probably was a bit more relieved. So I was like, okay, it's not directed at me alone. He just, being your freaky self.
I think sexuality is so, we were saying it's so fluid, right? So also very, like the way that they'll be attempting to predict it, to be like, this will be like this, and this person will be attracted to this person, or should be attracted to this person. And then when you encounter human beings, it's like, everything is different. Nobody is the same. There are ranges of expression, and
Right.
ain't mean nothing about nothing. Like, you could like lots of things and still identify how you identify, and it's not like a challenge to the way that you define yourself and so it's just like let's just be more let's just be more like expansive in how we think about sexuality, as opposed to like coming into it with expectations or like standards and being like, this is the way this is. Cause then when you travel, you're like, I never see nothing like this before. When you read history books, it's like, this used to happen in this other part of the world, but I've been thinking whatever, all this time. So yeah, I mean, we at the end of this show already.
It's interesting.
Do you have any? And like I said, I had 100 other myths to share, but another time.
No, I mean, as I said, it was mainly like associated with body parts.
Yeah.
But, I think we should all understand that those things are myths,
Yeah.
But, I get fooled off a couple times, but.
You were hoping that the myth was true.
Yeah, you see that big shit and you're like, whoa. Definitely a myth. Yeah.
But I think connected to the myths about like what size counts as valuable too, right? Like the idea that in sex, bigger has to be better, bigger is
No,
always
but you could be a
better.
reasonable average size.
That's exactly that, but that ain't. We don't get a lot of room for the reasonable average size people to get celebrated. So
It's girth over length anyway. So.
G over W every day. So,
Oh, G over W?
yeah.
What wouldn't that be with?
What did you just say?
I said
Length?
girth over length.
Length. Oh, my bad. That was not successful. Okay, so I mean, we will definitely get into topic about whether or not size matters, and if you can identify people's sizes by other aspects of their other parts of their body. And yeah, I hope that we kind of at least started folks thinking about some of the things that they have grown up believing about sex, about other people, about attraction, about sexuality. And I think, we kind of delved into some topics that might be unfamiliar for folks, but I hope it also inspires you to do some more research, to see what's going on Twitter. to see if it's a preferred source for you. For research purposes or other purposes. But yeah, I hope that tonight's conversation was helpful in illuminating some of those myths and providing some challenges to those myths. And I will leave you here. You don't have any final words, right? Do you?
No, tune into the Pleasure Pulse next week.
Tune into Pleasure Pulse next week. Great final word. As usual, it's a safe space where no question or topic is too big or too small, like other things. And I will wish you all a pleasurable evening and say good night to you. Bye.